Tonight you will lock your door, you will check it twice, maybe 3 times, and you won't really know why. That small, irrational pull there, that need to make sure, that didn't start with you. It started long before cities, before doors, before locks even existed. It started on an open plain, under a sky with no streetlights, where something in the dark was almost certainly watching. Your ancestors didn't fear the dark itself, they feared what lived inside it, and that fear is still running inside you right now. Most people assume ancient humans spent their nights shaking in terror, huddled in caves, praying for the sun to return, but that's not what the evidence shows. Anthropologist David Sampson at the University of Toronto spent years studying sleep and fear patterns in contemporary hunter-gatherer societies, groups whose lifestyles closely mirror those of our prehistoric ancestors. What he found surprised almost everyone. Ancient humans weren't paralyzed by the night. They were adapted to it, calibrated to it, and what they feared most wasn't darkness at all. It was each other. Think about that for a second. The creature your ancestors feared most wasn't a predator. It wasn't a snake or a lion or a wolf. The most dangerous thing on the ancient plain was another human being. Researcher Luke Glowacki at Boston University has spent years studying intergroup violence in early human populations. His work suggests that raids, ambushes, and coordinated attacks between competing groups of humans date back hundreds of thousands of years, long before agriculture, long before property, long before anything worth stealing in the modern sense. Groups attacked other groups simply because removing a rival group from a shared landscape meant more food, more mates, more survival. Violence wasn't a breakdown of society in the ancient world, it was a strategy, and it happened at night. Nighttime raids were the norm. An attacking group would move under cover of darkness, strike before dawn, and disappear before the camp could organize a defense. Your ancestors knew this. Every night, without a single conscious thought, their bodies prepared. Cortisol levels shifted, hearing sharpened. The brain entered a state researchers now call hypervigilant sleep, a mode where you technically rest but process sound at a heightened level, waking fast at anything unusual. You still do this. You've probably noticed it yourself. You sleep fine in your own bed, but the first night in a new place, you wake at every sound, every creak of the building, every car passing outside. Psychologist Jerome Siegel at UCLA calls this the first night effect, and it's not a quirk or an inconvenience. It's an ancient threat response running exactly as designed. Your brain doesn't trust a new environment. It runs the old code. New place, unknown neighbors, stay alert. The fear of strangers is written into your biology. But here's the counterintuitive part. Fear of other humans wasn't the only thing ancient people carried into the dark. There was something else, something that surprises researchers when they first encounter it in the anthropological record. Ancient humans feared the dead. Not death itself, that's a different fear, and one your ancestors had a complicated, nuanced relationship with. They feared the recently dead, the people who had just left the group. Because in a world without scientific explanation, the line between dead and gone wasn't clear. Dreams kept the dead alive, and dreams happened at night. Archaeologist Paul Pettit at Durham University studies burial practices across the Upper Paleolithic period stretching back over 40,000 years. What he's found in burial sites across Europe, Africa, and Asia tells a consistent story. Ancient humans didn't just bury their dead and move on. They returned to the graves, they placed objects, they performed rituals, and in many cases they restrained the bodies, binding the limbs or placing heavy stones across the chest, not as a sign of disrespect, but out of fear that the dead might return. Your ancestors weren't afraid of ghosts as a metaphor. They believed in them the way you believe in gravity, and the night was when the dead came back. Every culture on Earth, without exception, developed stories about spirits that emerge after dark. Researcher David Lancy at Utah State University has documented this across more than 200 distinct cultures. The pattern is always the same. Darkness equals the realm of things that have crossed over. That's not coincidence. That's a shared ancient memory, repeated across every continent, every language, every century of human existence. The night was a border crossing, something you moved through carefully, not loudly. So now you have two fears layered on top of each other. Fear of the living, the raider in the dark, and fear of the dead, the presence that wanders after sunset. And underneath both of them, there is a third fear that runs deeper than either, fear of being alone. In the ancient world, isolation was a death sentence, not a metaphor, not a social anxiety, a literal death sentence. A human being alone at night had no one to watch while they slept, no one to raise an alarm, no one to fight beside them. Solitude meant vulnerability. Solitude meant you were already as good as gone. This is why solitary confinement is one of the most psychologically devastating things you can do to a human being today. It's not just loneliness, it's your ancient brain screaming a warning it evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. Alone at night is how you die. Social connection wasn't a comfort in the ancient world, it was armor, and here is where everything loops back to you. Because you carry every single one of these fears, you still check the door, you still wake in new places, you still feel a strange unease when a house goes too quiet, you still sense something uncomfortable about the dark at the edge of a camping lantern. You still feel a cold shift when you think too long about the dead. None of that is irrational. None of it is weakness. It is 10,000 generations of survival distilled into your nervous system, keeping the code alive. Your ancestors made it through the night, every single one of them, every time, or you wouldn't be here. And the fear that kept them alert, bonded, watchful, and ready, that fear didn't disappear when the streetlights came on. Tonight, when you lock your door and check it twice, you're not being paranoid. You're being ancient. For more videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. See you in the next one.